This is from Brian, January 3rd. He had his pipes silvered before Christmas. Nice. Congratulations. I can't have nice things, so that's good for you. The turnaround took about a month. So now I'm fighting your way back to reacclimatizing my far from youthful lungs. It feels a tad labored, so I thought I'd test for leaks and cork the bag. I returned for the bag after 15 minutes and it was still fairly firm. I know the airtightness is never 100%. But it had lost maybe 5% inflation. But that's after 15 minutes, by the way. So I don't think that's that bad if you've only lost 5% in 15 minutes. But Carl, you're not allowed to talk yet. So hold those thoughts. Therefore, I had a good hunt for leaks, slightly squeezing, but couldn't find anything. I'd be grateful for any thoughts. So maybe you have lost strength and form, right? So ready? My 2 minutes starts now. I don't want that first part to count towards my 2 minutes. All right. So when we're talking about strength and blowing the bagpipes, okay, there's a couple things to think about. Your lip strength. Let's just start at the top. Lip strength. That tends to be the first thing to go. So if you haven't played a lot, your lips are going to get weaker, and we need to practice regularly to get that strength. And then we've got like our diaphragm strength. We've got the capacity of our lungs. All these things are important things to think about, right? So I always want to do one line of Scotland the Brave mouth blowing on my chanter, because what you could find after a month of not playing is the reed that where you used to be able to get through that one line, now you can't anymore. And that's a great litmus test for whether or not your chanter reed is too hard or the right strength for you, is to be able to play the first line of Scotland the Brave, right? So, and then the next thing I want to say is, if you could play the first line of Scotland the Brave from start to finish, mouth blowing your chanter, followed by doing the 4 questions of bagpipe maintenance correctly, it's scientifically impossible for your pipes to be too hard to blow. Okay? So somewhere in there is the answer to your question. So, basically he's coming back after a month. His pipes feel really hard to play. Okay? Somewhere in those 5 things. Do the litmus test for the strength of your chanter reed, followed by redoing the 4 steps in absolute detail. It's scientifically then impossible for your pipes to feel hard to play. If they still felt hard to play after doing that correctly, it would only be a matter of maybe reevaluating our form with our blowing. Maybe things could get a little out of sync. And so maybe you're out of practice, but that's it. Do those things. Do the chanter strength litmus test, followed by the 4 questions of bagpipe maintenance correctly, and it's scientifically impossible for your bagpipes to be too hard. Done. How long?
2 minutes. 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Cool. And I have a thought here also, Brian, and there's something we need to remember here. When you blow up your bag and you set it down and you walk away, and 15 minutes later you come back and it's still fairly firm, double check that it's not just deflated, the pressure itself has deflated, and then just the bag, when it's under pressure, it doesn't lose any more air. So we want to do something more like a kneel test, where you literally take the bag and you kneel on it. We're putting it over pressure there, but then we can really feel if there's air leaking out, because it could be leaking out for the first 3 minutes. Even fairly significantly, but as soon as it loses the pressure in the bag, it stays more or less inflated. So that I would double check there.
That makes total common sense.
Airtight. And then I had one other thought, but
that's a great point. So instead of leaving it for 15 minutes, just do a kneel test for 30 seconds. That's what I do. So I season my bag, I get it going the way I want, and then I kneel on it, which is ridiculous amounts of pressure consistently for 30 seconds. And then if it only loses 5%, I'm pretty damn happy, right? And not to mention, it takes 14 and a half less minutes to get that over with. But and if you don't feel confident doing the kneel test, blow it up under your arm and maybe grab with your free arm, grab your arm and just squeeze on it really hard for 30 seconds and make sure it stays like a football.
Right. You shouldn't be able to feel any movement, whether you're on your arm or kneeling. Like there can't be any deflation that you can feel, because if there is, that means you're definitely losing air. So.
100%. 100% agree.
Yeah.
That's it. Good question though. Really good question.